We have another very simple endgame here. Knight and a pawn versus one pawn. Now there are a few important things that we have to keep in mind. First of all, in case we lose our pawn, the position is definitely a draw. Knight cannot win. A lone knight cannot win the game. Another important thing is black is threatening to take our knight, so if we make a careless move with our king, any king move, like playing this or this, black will simply capture our knight. Let's illustrate this. And this pawn is not fast enough. Black is in time to stop it. What is going to happen? We are going to capture black's pawn, he'll capture our pawn, and only the kings will remain, and the position is a draw. So if you play the king move, bad luck, that's a mistake. Now we should play with either knight or the pawn, that's pretty clear. So one very interesting and very attractive move is to push the pawn. Now black might see the free knight on c6, but unfortunately for him, if he tries to capture the knight, we promote and we will take the pawn on the very next move. Queen is more than enough to deliver checkmate, so this position is easily winning for white. But if we do that, black is actually going to play with his king to b7, stop our pawn for queening. And now the situation is a little bit interesting. I mean, we have this extra pawn, black cannot touch it. Black cannot touch our knight either, because then we queen our pawn. Our king will easily eliminate the last threat, the black's pawn, and then we have this position. Now, can we win this position? Normally, one knight and one pawn extra will almost always win, but in this super interesting position, this is not the case, unfortunately. And what is black's defense strategy? He is simply going to remain in the corner. He will wait on these two squares and do nothing else. Unless the pawn is free, then he is going to take the pawn. So that's black's strategy. He waits on these two squares. If he can take pawn for free, he does it, and it's immediately a draw. Can white do something? Anything? Well, no. White cannot do absolutely anything, because if white plays his knight at any point, black is immediately going to capture the pawn. If we want to play anywhere with the knight, we first have to come with our king to protect the pawn and then free our knight, but unfortunately this will lead to a stalemate. Let's just check it quickly. So some position like this, and now we want to play our knight, but we cannot because the pawn is hanging. So we say, okay, let's protect the pawn from either b6 or a6, and then maybe do some knight moves and create a checkmating position. Unfortunately for us, once we step here and protect the pawn from either a6 or b6, we will at the same time take away the last free square for black's king, and the position is a stalemate. The result is a draw. So a very important thing for you to remember from this analysis is that knight protecting the pawn on c7 is not enough. This position is a draw. Knight can be on c6, b5 or c8, it doesn't matter, it's always a very easy draw. Let's try to illustrate this, because okay, now of course black would be able to take the pawn, but just for the sake of explaining the position, I will do this one more time. This position looks a little bit more dangerous for black, since this white is almost mating from b6, but still white doesn't have enough time. That's the position. If white would only have two moves, king a6 and knight b6, that would be a checkmate, but white doesn't have these moves. The moment white king steps on any of these squares, and this is the only way to protect a7, it's immediately a stalemate. So that's a draw. Okay, so let's go back to the starting position. We understand now we shouldn't push this pawn. We cannot play with the king because we lose all our pieces. So we have to play with the knight. We have several moves. Let's check all of them. First of all, if we go to b8, king b8, the position is a draw. And we should hurry up to destroy the last enemy pawn, otherwise we might even lose the game. Now if you go knight d8, this move is a little bit more interesting maybe than knight b8, because it creates a little trap. If black tries to take the knight, we just queen our pawn and win. But in some positions like this one, pawn is more important than the knight. Black simply plays king b6, he eliminates the last threat, and white cannot ever win with one lone knight. Similar thing happens if white plays any of these moves, black will always play king b6 and we cannot protect our last pawn. So the only, okay, it's the same case after knight a5. So we reach the conclusion that our only move is knight b4. We again have a very similar position. Our knight is protecting the pawn, so black can never capture our pawn or our knight. Let's say that somehow black manages to miraculously capture our knight, but that's not enough. Then we will easily queen our pawn. Black king cannot catch it anymore. So our knight is safe, our pawn is safe. Now what we are going to do is this. We will eliminate black's last pawn. Luckily for us, our king is in the square. This is called the square. Probably you already know about this. If we are within the square, then the pawn cannot reach the first rank in time. So what will black do here? Let's say he pushes, we come. Again, we are within the square. After we play the move, again, we are within this square. So we reach this position inevitably. And then black can do nothing more than wait. And now the position is similar, but not quite the same compared to the position where we push a7 on the first move. Now black cannot avoid getting into this position, and now this would be a terrible mistake to push this pawn. Black would go to the corner, and then we cannot stop the stalemate and we lose. We make a draw. But the key thing is for white knight to come to c7. So we'll jump here. Next move is knight c7, and then we are not in a hurry. We can just promote the pawn anytime we want, and we win. That's it. So in an initial position, the only correct move, the only move that wins the game, is knight to b4.